This is a very important presentation. I say this because, as a foreigner, dual third country national issues are very much close to my heart, and I also had a certain amount of involvement in dealing with a UK-only solution to this particular problem. So it's a complex area, and it's certainly one that I think those of us in Europe are extremely concerned about, which is the basic conflict of law, particularly in Europe where we have such strict data privacy and anti-discrimination laws. So, Josh, over to you. You need no introduction. However, I'm introducing you. Over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. I was actually kind of planning to introduce myself in somewhat more flowery language than you used. But yeah, as I promised before, I'm going to try and get through my slides as quickly as possible. But this is, as Andrew said, a relatively important issue for European companies, how we deal with our diverse workforce. So I do want to kind of hit from at least a mile or two high some of the main points. And Andrew kind of keyed in to what we're doing, or keyed into my presentation remarkably well, because one of the central themes that I'm going to be talking about is this potential conflict of law between U.S. requirements and European laws. And so I was wondering if, just by a show of hands, I was going to pose this question to you. How many of you think there is a fundamental conflict of law between the screening requirements in the ITAR and European regulations?
Can I put two hands up?
Yeah. So it's not a universally shared view, but I think most people in European industry would say that there are some difficult issues that we need to deal with when we're addressing nationality and employee access restrictions under the ITAR. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, basically give you some of the regulatory context, then very quickly what the regulations are, since I think probably a lot of you in European industry already are familiar with this and have been grappling with it for a while, and then talk a little bit about how one possible approach, which happens to be the approach that BAE is taking. So onto the regulatory context, I wanted to touch a little bit